Gaijin Entertainment presents The Shooting Range.
You're watching The Shooting Range, a weekly show for old tankers, airmen, and aspiring captains in War Thunder. In this episode, the things you do for money, the story of the F9F Panther and the F9F-6 Cougar, an aircraft set consisting only of planes with really big guns. Hotline, the developers answered questions that you left in the comments, but first, let's start with a slow giant, introducing the German flying boat. A real beast. A beastly vehicle of enormous proportions indeed. No, we're not speaking about yet another American aircraft. This time we're talking about the biggest bomber in War Thunder so far, and it comes from Germany. Just look at this giant, 43.5 meters long, almost 13 meters high, with a wingspan of 60 meters. It's almost like the Germans just took an armored boat, nailed a couple of wings on it, loaded it with bombs, and then sent it into the skies with one simple mission: to kill everything. Get acquainted, this is the fearsome BV-238 that is useful in any game mode. This sluggish giant can make a difference in the very first minutes of any match. 5 tons of bombs can resolve all problems with enemy bases, armored vehicles, and stationary targets as well. It also has 5 turrets equipped with machine guns and cannons that can take care of any winged nuisance. Let's say there's a hapless Spitfire trying to bring us down. Well, we have at least 18 reasons why this is a bad idea. The enemy goes down before you can say Jack Robinson. The plane has its flaws, of course. It's very slow and very big. We mentioned that already, haven't we? This makes it an awkward pick for mixed battles because you'd be a very juicy target for every stray SPA-AG, and especially the mighty Flak 37 that we introduced in one of our previous episodes. Moreover, keep in mind that it's certainly no easy task to hit a player-controlled vehicle with a bomb from our altitude of choice, which is usually very, very high. Arcade battles also pose a serious challenge. Sounds weird, doesn't it? Because a lot of arcade players prefer aircraft sets that include several planes with large caliber guns. To be fair, our flying boat has a relatively low BR, which prevents us from meeting most of these dangerous enemies. In realistic battles, you are king though. The plane spawns high in the sky and is equipped with 6 engines, which means that you always have decent thrust and are quite hard to shoot down. In other words, you get plenty of chances to make a mark on aviation history before you run into a serious threat. Here are a few tips. Set your gun targeting distance to maximum. Also remember that AI gunners have their own arcs of fire, so if you aren't a particularly good shot, leave your turrets in their virtual hands. When it comes to choosing ammunition belts, take armor piercing for your machine guns and universal ammunition for cannons. Your enemies will certainly appreciate that. It also makes sense to max the crew out. It doesn't cost much and the gunners would become at least semi-competent. Your real banes are large caliber guns and fire. Do not let even the weakest looking enemies get too close. 600 meters is bare minimum. Yeah, the fires can be put out, but you'll lose a few modules along the way. And the last thing, stay away from the thick of battle. It's better to deal with enemies one by one rather than to fight against the whole team. When it comes to designing aircraft, the wing is everything. If you change the wing, the plane would be considered a completely new aircraft, even if everything else stays the same. That's how it always works, but not this time. Grumman's engineers were no strangers to competitive practices of the aircraft market. They knew very well that in this field you don't need to be the first, you have to be the best. That's why, when the Navy wanted their first monoplane fighter aircraft, Grumman politely yet firmly passed the opportunity to the Brewster Aeronautical Corporation, and only then, having analyzed all the mistakes of their competitor, introduced their own plane, the F9F Wildcat. After that, they were in for some big money. They made the Hellcat, the Bearcat, and the Tigercat. But then came the time to design a new plane equipped with the latest innovation, jet engines. Grumman's engineers once again pulled their signature move and conceded the right to create the first carrier-based jet fighter to one of their competitors, the McDonnell Aircraft Company. who made the F-2H Banshee. Only then did they design their very own F9F Panther. Unlike the Banshee, that had a pair of turbojets, the Panther was outfitted with only one engine. But what a beast that was! The powerful Pratt & Whitney J48P2 with a robust centrifugal compressor. So Grumman, having secured a contract from the Navy, emerged victorious once again. Did that mean that it could bask in their success? Hell no! The aviation technology was progressing at a rapid pace, and the latest breakthrough came in the form of a swept wing. Jet engines allowed the aircraft of the era to get really close to the sound barrier, but the plane design prevented it from breaking it. An aircraft with a straight wing encountered Mach talk way too early. To overcome the sound barrier, you needed a swept wing. But designing a new wing equals designing a new plane. There is no other way. The Korean War was the last straw. F9F Panthers could certainly handle the Soviet-built fighters equipped with piston engines, but the MiG-15 turned out to be a tricky opponent. The Panther just didn't have enough speed to have the upper hand. It didn't come as a complete surprise to Grumman's engineers though. They started to research the idea of a carrier-based swept-wing fighter aircraft as early as 1949. But the competitors were breathing down Grumman's neck. McDonough rolled out the brand new F3H Demon. The Douglas Aircraft Company produced the cleverly designed tailless F4D Skyray. What's even worse, the North American Aviation were getting ready to give the Navy the FJ2 Fury, the plane that came from an effort to navalize the excellent F-86 Sabre. All these factors forced Grumman to take emergency measures, and what they decided to do was to put a swept wing on a Panther. The new plane was called F9F-6 Cougar. It was also the first American naval aircraft that didn't have conventional ailerons. When it came to flight characteristics, the Cougar couldn't compete with the Sabre, but it had its own advantages. It didn't take up as much space on the deck and didn't require as much maintenance. It could also be outfitted with many parts coming from the Panther. But the most important thing was that the Cougars were easy to produce, which was really important given the backdrop of the war. In the end, the Cougar was too late for Korean War service, but it certainly earned a special spot in the Aviation Hall of Fame. Just think about it, it was the only plane that got a new wing and was still considered just an updated version of its predecessor. Now let's discuss a new aircraft set, this time consisting of Soviet planes with high-caliber guns. Waves and waves of bombers destroy your base way faster than you can score at least a few hits? The much-feared Flying Fortress and its Browning MGs haunt your dreams. Not to worry, our newest aircraft set for arcade battles is ready to put your life back on track. It consists of piston engine fighters with high-caliber cannons up to 37mm that can be found in the Soviet Air Force and under BR of 6.0. The first few slots are, of course, taken by the unlockable aircraft, the Yak-9UT and Yak-9P, both of which can carry the quick-firing N-37 gun. Then we add the Yak-9K and Yak-9T. Now, let's throw in some premium and promo aircraft. For starters, let's get the Lag-333. This Maniac has very limited ammo, but a big heart. It is ready to send a high-explosive gift to any passing target. After that, we'll brighten up the list with the addition of a couple of Lend-Lease King Cobra fighters, the A-10 and the A-5. Did you really think the set could be completed with just Soviet planes? Nah, the Allies liked high-caliber cannons as well, if not more. Then, it's only fitting to include a couple of P-39 Air Cobras, namely the K-1, N-0, and the rare Q-15 for the veterans of the Alpha test. Alright, that's about it. As you see, this is quite a wide BR spread. Most of the aircraft are found somewhere in between BR 3.0 and 4.0. But trust us, with these cannons, you are ready for everything. Just keep your eyes wide open. Bam! The enemy team doesn't need this bomber. Bam! The enemy fighter will have to make do without a tail. Don't forget we're playing arcade, which means that you have infinite ammo. So feel free to sow the map with lead. Now imagine the same thing, but with a few backup aircraft. Sheer madness. An experienced pilot can go a long way with a set like this. It is also a solid choice if you want to clear some challenges and reap rewards. Have fun! Finally, it is time for the traditional last part of our show, Hotline, developers answering questions from the comments. Strictly speaking, it's not the most serious-minded section of the show. If you want answers to be given with solemn faces, feel free to appeal to the official forums. Here we'll have a more lighthearted discussion of the big questions of War Thunder. We hope you like it. We'll start with a question from a player called Nathan Gold. What's up with World War mode? Is it still in development? Hi Nathan. Short answer is yes, we are working on it, and sadly that's about everything we can tell you right now. The second question comes from the Basic Gamer. Will flamethrowers be added to tanks like the Churchill Crocodile and Flam Panzer II? Nope, we do not plan to introduce flame tanks in the game. The reason is that they are kind of pointless without infantry and bunkers or pillboxes, which they were primary targets. Not to mention that the limited range of their flamethrowers makes it very difficult for flame tanks to fight other vehicles. Then there is a question from American Tanker. I love the in-game sound effects. Any chance of getting more soon? I would love to hear wheel squeaks on touchdown. We are constantly tweaking and updating the sounds that you can hear in the game. Glad that you like them. But right now the core of the team has a lot on their plate, so don't expect any massive changes in the near future. We'll finish with a message from a fellow War Thunder player called Aaron Douglas. Could you say hello to all the US players please? We arguably make up a decent percentage of the game's player base and also arguably have some of the more frustrating vehicles to play at times. Sure, hello guys and girls. Hope that in the end, you enjoy playing the game as much as we enjoy making it. That's it for today, but feel free to write your questions in the comments below. We do read them all, and you might see some of them answered in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you on the shooting range.